Hey everybody, it's Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. Trying to get some time out here in the shop without freezing, and my feet are turning into ice, so I'm going to try to expedite things here for my personal well-being. But we just did KC Tool Haul 121, took a look at some new stuff from Hazet, which I hated not getting to show you, in part because I'm such a fan of their bit holders, right? This one right here is sort of like your bare bones small one. This one here, one of my favorites. We'll set that down. And they're leading up to our new additions. Now, I'll tell you right now, if you're new to the channel, timestamps, links, all that stuff's down below. I do that for your convenience. Take advantage of it at your own discretion. That said, let me turn the space heater. And of course, anytime you buy from KC Tool, you're going to get a bit of thanks. It's currently shipping as a number 2 from Vera. Around this time, I kind of think it was still a number 2 from Vita. But get that free charge, $75, free freight, $100, gets you a German tool sticker pack or a mystery sticker. I'm pretty sure a mystery sticker would have come with this, but I don't know where it is, so they're strung out everywhere. Here coming up, when I have another low-key one, I've got a battery light flashing now too, I will attempt to get that for you. But what I want to do is come in and just go ahead, I guess, and throw right down with this. It is from Hazet. It is their 811 BHK. And it's going to be in a bag right here. Again, you can see HZ811 BHK. It's going to be a 1/4-inch compact bit holder. 101 millimeters. You're like, oh wow, cool. Hey, that looks really familiar. Does it? Should it? What is the catch here? What nefarious thing have you done? Some of you are like, oh, this poor guy, you know, like his channel's not that big. He can't be generating much revenue off of this stuff. You don't need to buy, you know, multiples of the same thing just to show them to us or something, you know. This is different. You're like, what? Okay, clearly, yes, this old one, you know, sitting there, that's magnetic. These are the same thing. Again, right out of the package here, we've got the one that just arrived. And if I spin it the other way, you will hopefully, let me get it up where I can read it. I was right the first time. If the camera cannot do this whole thing was for nothing. But you can see that, right? It says Hazet, and it has 811 BHK. Again, just like the bag. And you're like, yeah. 811 BHK. It's so great you bought another one, we know. No, stick with me. There is a method to this madness, because I assure you, I wouldn't buy another one without just going to be like, take it to work type of a thing, or give it as a gift. And you're thinking, okay, yeah, 811 BHK, buddy. No, this is Hazet 810 BHK. You're like, I'll be dang, that is an 810. Get that other one up here. You can tell them apart. The old 810 has a bit in it because I use it all the time. Again, this is about as good as we can do with the camera. 811, 810. You're like, oh my gosh, dude, you bought the same driver just to show us that they had updated the previous to the new handle style, and now they've updated the part number to correspond with the new handle style. Absolutely unnecessary. You should have just saved your 15 to 20 bucks and not done this for us. I had to, and it's not because of it looking like the same tool. There is another subtle difference. You're like, no, there's not. These are identical, like same factory, same name, same color. There's nothing here, man. No, stick with me, because I'm going to zoom back in. This one's not quite as challenging to read, although it focused right in it perfectly that time. Take a look at this band. You're like, I know you said many times you prefer knurling, but they've gone this direction, and we know you had one that had 2 bands. And then some of you are like, wait, how come that one's taller? Like, you've got these side by side. That one's clearly taller, and it is. And then some of you are thinking like, hey, this one looks even like a little bit longer on the bottom. Like, square up the bottom for us. Yeah, this one's taller overall. The bottom, the band, top looks to be about the same, doesn't it? I'd say the top's about the same. But there's another subtle little detail here. Some would even call it an Easter egg. Do you see it? Take a look at this arrow on this band, okay? Now take a look at this arrow on this band, and you're like, what's that little blemish? There's a blemish. Oh my gosh, just drop it, buddy. I can't, because if I dropped it, you wouldn't be able to see that that's actually an up arrow inside the down arrow. So, in my best Brian Windhorst impersonation, what does it mean? Right, what does this mean? Well, here's what it means, okay? If I take this random bit that I just grabbed, you can see it gets sucked in just like in our previous video. And I can take this, again, this hand is here, I'm going to bring it way down. This hand is here. If I take this back, you got magnetic pull, right? So we get it back, line it up, it's not in. Watch this. Index finger only. Let's go traffic finger only, okay? In. Like, okay, what's the difference? Well, let me get this bit out. It's a bit of a struggle to get this bit out because the magnet's so strong. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to line this sucker up. And what am I going to do? I'm going to push down. But it's not going in. Why? Set that down. I need two hands. Can't get it in. It's like, we'll pull back on the collar, bonehead. Yeah, there we go. Installed incredibly tight. I was like, get it out of there. Well, you can't get it out that way, so I have to pull down on the collar. There we go, right? So I'll put it back in. You know, we've seen the drill. We just saw the last tool hole. What are you screwing around for, buddy? Get this one up here. What's the difference? Do you see that? Okay. Now right here, I'm going to just nest this. It's hard to do at an angle. In. Out. Do you see, when I install this bit in 811, I am not having to articulate the collar. That's why there's a down arrow. That's why it's a slightly different length. To get this bit out, we've got to do this. Note that it doesn't auto-eject though, right? I have to come in and pull it out. Similarly, with this, despite how good it holds, I can't put that in until I pull back on the collar. That is your difference between the 810 BHK and the 811 BHK. Now, keep in mind, you might have these in different handle styles and whatnot, but the 811 does in fact have a superior mechanism. So, outside of if you use this for stubby quarters and just that slight change in this mechanism is going to kick this back and cause interference, I can't think of a downside. This is effortless, one-handed action with the 811. The 810, fantastic at what it does, just not as convenient, right? You've got to come down, line up, all that stuff. It's a two-handed job. One hands versus two-hand, right? Hand being singular that first time. So, that's the upgrade. That is the selling point. That's what's great about the 811. So, what this means for you, if you came in and you picked this up from 120 and you're like, man, I really do like that. He's right. This is fantastic. This same mechanism that you just saw on this updated version is on the 811. Again, links down below. So, where could we possibly go from here? We're going to continue sort of in this micro land, but before we do, I'll throw this down. This was something, we got it for two reasons. Number one, tool of the day. Number two, wanted the sockets, wanted to check out their smart rails. These are very expensive socket holders, okay? They're up there with Vim type stuff in terms of their price point. And this sits like this in my box. It is not flat, it's not flush, I don't have a ton of space there. So I have it on the inside lip of the drawer. The magnet holds it there. I can easily articulate and extract the sockets. I also have these sockets facing up so I can see what size they are, right? The only thing not included is this 1/4 to 3/8 adapter. I put that on there. Thought it was a nice touch. But that's the smart rail. That's quarter drive socket set. And you're thinking like, okay, was the metric one on tool of the day on this order? That'd be pretty cool. No, I wish it would have been. But what I did pick up is Hazet's 811-UK. You're thinking like United Kingdom, loss of freedom, and free speech. What's the deal? What is UK with Hazet? Well, let me throw it down here for you. 811 UK. There. Oh, you're like, oh, it's compact. So, okay. Did they make that one better? Like, they took the magnetic one and they made it. You should have shown us that one first and built up. Well, think about it. What did I just throw down? I threw down a quarter drive set of SAE, mind you, sockets from Hazet. So, in this bag, if I can get my cold fingers to open it, got this. You're like, idiot, we don't know what it is. You do now. This is a quarter drive spinner, micro-sized, right? So I can come in here, we'll just grab the big one, which is, I believe, 9/16. Yes, indeed. Look what we have done. So, granted, you know, that's a little small for turning 3/8 bolts, but if you needed the compact nature or the size or whatever it might be, maybe it's like some overbuilt center console, then you need like more than the socket for your comfort, there you go, you've got it. Whatever socket combination you want to put on the end of this thing, you can. It is sadly not ratcheting, but it's a very cool, trick little piece. I didn't bother to write prices down on that. I will have it in the description for you. And that brings us kind of to our next point, all right? In the previous tool haul, 121, I debated including that VIT ratcheting driver. We went ahead and did it. Did you know I left out one item? You're thinking like, what item did you leave out, idiot? We would not know. Well, I left out this item. Thinking like, okay, that looks like a socket. It is a socket. It's from Hazet. It's their part number 900-13. If you know anything about Hazet's part number systems, you're thinking like, is that a 13 millimeter, obviously? And yeah, you're correct there. 900, it's going to be 1/2-inch drive, 6-point. You're thinking like, okay, that's totally random. Did you like need this at work or something? Why would you not have a 13 millimeter socket? Was your 1/2-inch stuff just like slightly swollen or crusted over and 13 worked? Well, what's the deal, buddy? Well, first thing first is that 900-13. As you can see, mint condition, never used, unlike this one. This is a Hazet, also 1/2-inch drive. This is 1/2-inch, conveniently. This goes way back. This is when I was investigating German sockets. And we brought in Stahlwille, Gedore, Vera, Hazet, Heyco even. And I wanted to kind of get a feel for them. At the time, I decided, I was like, you know, I kind of like the Gedore. The way the Gedores are, they've got the knurling at the bottom, you know, it seems really nice. I did have this thing, though. And you can see, hopefully, even though it's 12-point and wears very well, she has seen some action, right? These little guys played a part in purchasing that 13 millimeter. And what it was, quite simply, I got to the point, I think it was even with this quarter drive set, where I like cemented, like, you know, I do kind of like that. This band of ribbing, whatever you want to call it, knurling, additional machine work, is up top. What that allows me to do is similar to that quarter drive spinner, but like, you know how whenever you just need to get in on something, like say you're rebuilding, you know, the grill on an old Mopar, or you've got the vacuum advance canisters, or your articulated headlight doors, and sometimes like you can't get anything in there, and it's easier to just come in and you try spinning it by hand, but it's an old fastener from the summer of 1968 and it's not wanting to go for rust and just it's not comfortable, the fastener head is thinning. You get that socket on there and you're just able to turn it, right? This design from Hazet is so good for that. And I kind of, you know, like I'd sort of learned it with this. This has 2 bands, which is fantastic. And I thought, you know, let me make sure, like, before I go all in, like, I want to make sure, like, is the 6-point that way? Did they change anything? What's the catch? And this checked out. 6-point metric, just like it. This is also coming from the fact, I love these. What are these, you ask? They're these. The Hazet line of HP ratchets, hyperfine 90 tooth. This is my clean one. I did a matching set for you. This is the quick release. They didn't used to have the quick release. Quick release, yes, slightly impacts the overall strength. My OG half-inch 916 HP, that is a beautiful thing. And it's absolutely filthy, even though I've cleaned it, but it's a beautiful thing. This one itself sees quite a bit of action. But again, I kind of try to keep it as the clean one since we already had the non-quick release one well in advance. HP versus HPSS adding that quick release. So, I kind of wanted to pair these and, like, you know, get a feel for it, right? It's phenomenal. You know, you come in, and I've gotten used to like my Koken and Nipro setups with the spinners. I tell you, behind the scenes, when I do stuff, one of the greatest joys is I like have options now. I don't just have the Craftsman ratchet and the Craftsman saw. I've got choices, right? So if I have a buddy pull up over here in like a 72 Roadrunner, I can pick what I use. Then if the next day, you know, it's some lady from the club and she's got like a rocker panel replacement on her new Challenger, I can change brands. I can jump from Germany to Japan to America to cheap stuff. It's whatever. And it's so enjoyable. And I've gotten to where I really freaking liked the way Hazet did their sockets. So the half-inch checked out. The price points on that guy, since I do think I have that written down, $13.26. I mean, not terrible when you think about a German-made socket. I do think that might have had a sale on it, but I always try to give you worst-case scenario. For $10.69, and this came with an advent calendar. I did it to get, I don't think free freight. I think just because it was in stock, actually. I've got to figure out where I sat it. Somewhere in this area there should be this item that I don't know where it is. It's not that exciting. This is no like intentional build-up. I'm just not sure where it's at. Give me 1 second. And we're back. Keep in mind I do have the concern of the battery life. But I found it. It was $10.69. As in a box off to the side, which is why we couldn't find it. Hazet 880-10. You're like, 880? What is that? Well, the 10, you probably figured, 10 millimeter. Fittingly, that this would be the one that we couldn't find. It's 3/8 drive, my 10 millimeter. And my thoughts when kind of doing this, when I wanted to test it out, right? You know, initially it was half-inch, and they do some strange things with SAE sizes with the German tool brands. Like, you can't get what you can get with metric. It's very... I've always wanted a proper explanation. We'll dive into that some other time when I don't have a low battery life, but this is what I got for the $10. 3/8, 10 millimeter, right? So if I come over here to the 8816 HPS, look at that beautiful pairing. More importantly, though, I needed to have this in hand. I needed to be able to feel the machining, the knurling, make sure I liked it. Was it like quarter? Was it like half? You can see they kept the 1 band versus the 2. The bottom line, I kind of liked it, right? And where we're going with all this is, as I've tried to kind of build out like a German socket set, right? With Gedore, we did the half-inch and then just absurdly cheaply 3/8, like comprehensive, like proto-esque, right, industrial sizing. Not like some chinchy, you know, like 1/4 to 3/4 or something stupid, or, you know, 3/8 to 9/16. No, I'm talking like 1/4 to 1 inch. Okay, we built that out. The big stuff, like half-inch drive, like 3/8 to 1 1/8, 1 1/4, something like. We've gone in and we've done that. Now, my biggest knock on German tool brand sockets is the deeps are absurdly. The shallows, if you compare this like to any comparable brand, whether it's industrial American, Japanese, tool truck, like the German shallows are, they're in line, oftentimes more economical depending on the deal. The deeps get insane. I have not quite figured it out. I have like one deep Stahlwille, and it is to its credit, it's like deeper than you would think, like when you picture what you're accustomed to deep. It's not an extra deep, it's not labeled that way, but it's just deeper, the form factor, the standardization, whatever it might be. That said, they are insane. And so I've tried to like figure it out, like, okay, I went Gedore, which I like them. And I also have a set you've never seen me make a video on. I got that thing for a price point. It was a jungle site deal. I think it was like $79. This was years ago now, so keep that with a grain of salt. But it was a ratchet. It was a foam set in an L box with sockets from like 10 to 32 mil. It was every bit of that alone you would think would be very near the $79 mark. The L box, the foam by many company standards, the sockets combined, the ratchet itself should have exceeded that. It was just an insanely good buy. I've used that again behind the scenes. If you watch like the Ram Revival and stuff, you might have seen it here and there. They were 6-point, they were great. As I fiddled around, you know, the Koken stuff, which is it in proto, very hard to beat on a budget for a quality tool. This is like, I don't know why, just turning by hand, or when you need to spin and you don't have a spinner, like that little band, having it pushed. If this was a Gedore socket, we'd have like this rib right here at the base. It's nice, you know, you can articulate it, but this just fits my hand perfectly. I will tell you, I'm a bigger fan of the half than the other drive sizes because of the two bands and how well it just, I become the ratchet, right? I'm the thing turning the socket, and it's a great pairing. If I come back over here and grab this, I can do it, just not near as comfortably, right? So long story short, I had to get the 3/8 because I needed to compare. The 1/2 inch, it was just to kind of make sure they don't change anything, right? A lot of times KC Tool or other companies have like a stock photo. So if you're looking at like a socket side profile, you know, like you don't know this is a 6-point when you buy it, but is it a photo of a 12-point that has 2 bands and that doesn't? I consulted the catalogs. I wanted to double check, get them in hand in person. It turns out I really like them. So the Stahlwille stuff I started building, if you recall that, it was like 1/2 inch metric. Okay, that's where we were going with that. I had Gedore 12-point 1/2 inch SAE, Stahlwille 1/2 inch metric. Then with some sweet deals we've come by, like I've got a kit that has quarter drive Stahlwille. I'll probably never take it out of that kit, but they were 12-point. And I sort of try to like fill in the gaps here and there, right? And I was like, you know, this is like the world's strongest ratchet, granted the HP, not the HPS. And I was like, kind of makes sense to pair that with 6-point. And this was me testing the waters. So over the coming tool hauls, you will see that expedition continue. Essentially, like, tool of the day was 50, and then there was like a little rod I need for work or something. I'm up to 64. I don't want to pay $12 in freight when I could spend another $10 on tools and get free freight. I would come in and I would look just like you've seen me do with all the other sets that we've slowly completed. If like Hazet had a 14mm 1/2 inch in stock, I added it. If I was like then $4 shy, I go and I find like, oh, I don't know how often I'd use the 11, but it's in stock, so it's boom. So keep that in mind, because that plays a huge factor in what we are doing moving forward from this point. That's all I'm going to say right now. But for your viewing enjoyment, I want to throw this down. Hazet, this new greatness, the 811, right? This is an 811 UK. It's a quarter drive spinner. You're thinking like, did you have one of those? I did not. You're like, well, what's in your hand, bonehead? This is sort of like the precursor stylization to the HP. Okay, this is like their older ratchet. You see me bring in their breaker bars. They still have this design. This is a 3/8 spinner, which I can take and drop that guy and do this. Why the neck? And to my knowledge, this is the only one of these. Why the neck on this is so... Good Lord, that's a great hold. But why the neck is so short on this, I will never understand. Like, see the length that we have on this quarter versus that? I don't understand it. I'm pretty sure this is their only offering. With this coming to market in the 811 line, I'm optimistic they will update this handle style. If they do that, I'm taking this to work. That's where I've got one of their Hazet breaker bars, and I will have the 3/8 one here. I would love to see them take this, although this is stupid good. I'd kind of like to see like a quick release on it, sort of like the Stahlwille. The Stahlwille spinner quarter drive, that is the jam. I have yet to replace it. The only other one I can show you from a German brand, I guess I have a Heyco too. But right here, if I throw this together, it's Gedore. This is actually not terrible. comparable. Again, it's the same handle as their screwdrivers, so you will love it or you will hate it, and I don't know that there's much in between. This, you might not love it, you might not hate it, it might just be neutral, but it can be neutral. This, it's a love it or a hate it. Okay, they don't spin as well by design, and that kind of like kills it for me, but it does provide really nice length. That said, well, give me a second. If we die, we die. Thanks for watching, subscribe, but I'm going to be back. Alright, so I thought I was going to have to go to the roll cart to grab the Stahlwille because, again, it is so good. But alas, I had a backup in the main box. So, this little guy right here is incredibly hard to upend, in my opinion. Heyco is here for honorable mention, but I guess at some point in time we need to make like a German quarter drive spinner video. Since I don't have a ton of new stuff here for you in this haul, I thought, well, let's just go ahead and make this happen, right? So this is all Hazet Socketry, if you couldn't figure that out. But this has been such a legend for me, just in terms of compact size and always having something handy for my quarter drive stuff. Look at this range assortment, right? Heyco may be hitting Gedore and Stahl. I guess they're pretty dang close. The Hazet is smaller, more compact. The 3/8, and this does have the socket on it. Look at this. It's shorter than the Stahlwille, it's shorter than the Gedore, and it's shorter than the Heyco. I really hope this new handle style comes to 3/8 drive, and I would love to see some sort of a quick release like they sort of have in the 811 bit holder. Just a personal preference, something I'd like to see on a wish list type of a thing. But if you're interested in these, you hopefully have this. Like, this is one of those staples of German tools. I should probably make that video too. But this is something, you gotta have it, in my opinion. It's just that good. It's economical. You know, it's not like you're going to shell out 80 bucks to get it. They're cheap. You can get them on sale sometimes for a really good deal. The advantage of this one is just that it's smaller, right? And you might find that more cumbersome. It might be something you've got to have. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to be a socket. You could put a bit adapter and just kind of turn it into that type of a thing to pair with your 810 or 811 lineup, you know. So that said, I think that is what I've got for you. This was around the time advent calendars were coming in, which, keep in mind, that's early, way in advance of Christmas. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. I didn't film them last year, just kind of a time constraint thing. Maybe I'll do like a recap here. If you got any ideas, let me know, but granted, I'll probably have already done it, so thanks for the input. If I don't go with it, sorry. I'd already made the decision. But yeah, Hazet's 810, 811 stuff, the compact ones, super cool to see them. And again, you could probably find this in stock somewhere, the 810 old style. It's phenomenal. Don't pay retail. Like, if you can get that for like 50%, 60% off, do it. Otherwise, check your price on the new one, because that mechanism is just so much user-friendly improved, right? The interface is superior, in my opinion. Not sure this thing it's going to be hit and miss. Like, this is the smallest handle easily out of even the Heyco's acetate, which is absolutely gorgeous and does glide like butter in your hands. That's just very small. That could be an advantage, it could be a disadvantage. It's going to depend on your personal preference and what you're doing. But yeah, not a ton of stuff here, but something I found very interesting, and sort of the build up to something else. Like, over time, the initial Hazet Sockets, sort of like over the years, I was like, you know, they're on to something. And then when this came in particular, and there was so much I did with that set where I was just hand tight, like literally I'm holding the socket, and I was like, man, you know, maybe this is the route we should go. And keep in mind, we've got sets in various stages of completion across multiple drive sizes and designations, SAE metric. If you're a veteran viewer of the channel, you log that stuff, you remember it, you go back, you can check it out. We've got some stuff coming, and it's important you have the background to know why I make the decisions I make. At least that's the way I look at it. So, well, that's it. Shout out to the battery. It's not dead yet, but it probably will be soon. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, your thoughts and opinions on any of this. Do you love this? Do you think, you know what, I kind of like, I know two hands are involved, but I prefer the old style? Or is it just, man, that new mechanism is awesome. It's not going to be an issue for 99% of people with the size change. It's the way to go. The spinner handle, I guess you're like, man, that is just so, like, you got this one right, you know? You're like, man, that thing is like such a sweet spot. Might even like it a little bit bigger. That just looks tiny. Not sure I'd do it. Whatever your thoughts, especially if you've got first-hand experience with them, make sure to leave them down below and help people out. That is the end goal. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you leave a like, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek while wielding your Hazet 811 UK quarter drive spinner, YouTube just might let you know we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, I do hope you enjoyed. The space heater has thawed part of me out. My left foot is still ice, the right foot kind of better, but it's getting pretty late. I'll probably have to head in. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little something. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.